يا راغبا في كل علم نافع.
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن. وتعلم الفقه الميسر عاملا بالشرع دون تعصب لفلان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وآله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه. أما بعد. What is permissible for someone who is observing i'tikaf? So we said it's recommended that you totally devote yourself for remembering Allah, praying, making dua, reading the Quran, asking Allah for forgiveness, repenting, and the likes. So what is permissible to do? Well, it is permissible for you to leave the masjid for necessities, such as you have to eat and drink. If you don't have anyone to bring the food to you inside the masjid, so many places they prevent people from getting food inside the masjid so that the smell and the cleanliness of the masjid would not be affected. In this case, you're obliged to go and leave the masjid to break your fasting, for example, to have the pre-dawn meal and the likes. It's a necessity. Also, it is a necessity to leave the masjid to answer the call of nature, or to perform wudu, or if you have an nocturnal emission, that you perform ghusl. Otherwise, you can't stay in the masjid. So these are essential things that you can do. Is it essential for me to leave the masjid to visit someone of my relatives who is sick? The answer is no. This is not permissible. And if you do, it will break your i'tikaf and seclusion. It is permissible for you to sit and talk with relatives and family who come to visit. And if you need to, you can walk them back to their homes in the case of females who need companionship, to be escorted. Safiya, may Allah be pleased with her, the mother of the believers and the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, tells us that once she visited the Prophet ﷺ at night to speak with him when he was in i'tikaf and in his seclusion. So she spoke to him, and when she stood up to leave, he stood up with me to walk with me home. So this is permissible because there is a legitimate reason for it. Among the permissible things to do while in i'tikaf is to get your hair groomed and combed and cleaned, or shaved, or to clip your nails, or to clean your body from whatever is dirty or unnatural, and to wear the best of clothes and to perfume yourself, to wear perfumes. It's not like some people think that i'tikaf is to be in the worst shape and form possible in the masjid like monks. No. On the contrary, Mother Aisha says that the Prophet ﷺ used to be in i'tikaf, and he used to come out and hand me his head. So the Prophet's body is in the masjid, but his head is outside of the masjid, where I can, from my chamber, wash his hair, comb it, groom it, and fix it while I'm in the state of menses. There's no problem in that. And among the things that are permissible, if people could get you food to eat and water to drink inside of the masjid, that's fine. And of course, to spend 10 nights in the masjid in i'tikaf, in seclusion, means that you have to sleep in the masjid. So this is something that is permissible, providing that you ensure that the cleanliness of the masjid is maintained. Now, this is quite essential. What are the things that invalidate i'tikaf? Well, i'tikaf is to devote yourself. So if a person leaves the masjid for no reason, and hey, Abdullah, where are you going? He said, I'm bored. I'm just going to take a walk outside of the masjid, around the masjid and come back. This invalidates your i'tikaf. Oh, I have a meeting. I have to go for half an hour and come back. Invalidates your i'tikaf, because if you don't leave the masjid for a legitimate Islamic reason, this invalidates your i'tikaf. One of the things that invalidate i'tikaf is being intimate with the wife. So, of course, you're not going to be intimate with the wife in the masjid, but hypothetically, you leave the masjid to have your lunch at home or to make wudu, and then you become intimate with the missus. This invalidates your i'tikaf, because Allah says, and do not have relations with your wives as long as you are staying for worship in the masjid. So this invalidates it. And this is the consensus of the scholars, that whomever has intercourse with his wife during the period of i'tikaf, this invalidates the i'tikaf. And likewise, if a person masturbates, then it also invalidates his i'tikaf, because such an act, a sinful act, would invalidate the concept of devoting yourself for Allah Azza wa Jal. As for if a person is daydreaming or fantasizing, and madhi or precum is emitted, this has nothing to do with his i'tikaf. Or if a person was asleep and he gets nocturnal emission, then again this does not invalidate or impact his i'tikaf. If a woman is in i'tikaf and she gets her monthly period, this invalidates her i'tikaf, because she cannot continue to stay in the masjid in such a state. And likewise, a woman who's not on her menses, but she has irregular bleeding, which is known as istihada. This irregular bleeding does not prevent her from praying and fasting, as we know, when we mentioned this earlier. So, can she stay in the masjid? The answer is yes, as long as she ensures that the masjid is not soiled by that. She has no problem in staying there. And finally, among the things that invalidate the i'tikaf is the act of apostasy. And this is what the scholars usually mention, but it's highly unlikely for a person who devotes himself to the masjid, reads the Quran, prays, to commit an act of apostasy. But this is what the scholars mention, and this is what they usually mention in things that invalidate all types of worship, because Allah says in the Quran, if you should associate anything with Allah, your deeds would surely become worthless. And this is a clear indication or evidence that it would invalidate all forms of worship, including i'tikaf, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyyina Muhammad.
يا راغبا في كل علم نافع
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية زاد،
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن. وتعلم الفقه الميسر عاملا بالشرع دون تعصب لفلان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.